If you've ever wondered, am I doing something that could get my crypto frozen on the exchange? You're not alone. Most people think exchanges freeze crypto because someone is doing something illegal, shady, or reckless, but that's not actually why an exchange will freeze your funds. In reality, you can do everything right, follow the law perfectly, and still end up having your funds frozen on the exchange. And if you don't understand what actually triggers a freeze, then you could be increasing your risk without even knowing it. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what exchanges look for, why people get flagged even when they think they're being careful, and what actually protects your crypto from being frozen. So we're going to break this down into three parts: the law, the triggers, and the fix. Because once you understand these three things, crypto exchanges stop feeling so mysterious and start feeling more predictable. So let's start with the law. The biggest myth I hear is that as long as you're not breaking the law, you're safe. That sounds logical, but it's not true. Crypto exchanges don't need to prove that you did anything wrong before they freeze your funds or even lock your account entirely. That's because crypto exchanges like Coinbase, Uphold, and even apps like Robinhood are all classified as money transmitters. That means they are regulated by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, aka FinCEN. As a result, they operate under something called anti-money laundering laws, or AML for short. These are the same kind of laws that banks have to follow, and under these laws, exchanges are legally required to monitor transactions and support anything that looks suspicious. The key word here is looks. They don't need to prove that a crime happened, they just need to have reasonable suspicion that something is going on. In fact, the exchange doesn't even assess the risk itself. It uses a compliance tool like Chainalysis to do it automatically. These tools actively monitor the blockchain and virtually every wallet address to assign each wallet a risk score. And if your wallet is assigned a high risk score, then your account is more likely to be frozen. If that happens, exchanges are required to file a suspicious activity report, or a SAR. Once that process begins, they can freeze your account or your funds while they investigate. Now, here's the part most people don't realize. These SAR reports are confidential, so even if the exchange files a report, they're not actually allowed to tell you. So from your perspective, it looks like your crypto is just randomly frozen. But from the exchange's perspective, they're legally required to stop all activity until they can figure out what's going on. And because these companies can face major fines or even lose their licenses if they fail to report suspicious activity, they tend to err on the side of caution. Meaning if something looks wrong, they'll freeze your funds and ask questions later, which is why seemingly normal users can get caught up in this system. Now let's talk about the triggers, because this is where people unknowingly raise the risk of having their funds frozen. The biggest freeze trigger I see by far is transaction history. Every crypto transaction has a permanent history on the blockchain, meaning if the crypto you deposit on an exchange previously interacted with hacked funds, scams, or blacklisted wallet addresses, this will raise a flag for your account as well, even if you yourself didn't do anything wrong. Another major trigger is any behavior that resembles money laundering patterns. Exchanges monitor how funds move through accounts, not just where they come from. Sudden large deposits or rapidly moving crypto between various wallets can be considered suspicious activity and will automatically trigger these AML systems. Even something as simple as going from depositing a few $100s to the exchange from your crypto wallet to depositing a large amount of crypto, like over $10,000, can trigger suspicious activity. These patterns can resemble moving illicit funds through their platform. So even normal activity can get flagged if it looks unusual from your everyday activity. Another trigger is suspicious account activity. Exchanges monitor accounts to ensure that no one is trying to take over someone else's account. And this actually happened to my friend. Someone tried to access his account, so they locked his entire account, and it wasn't until a year later that he finally regained access to it. It was a huge headache. But this can also happen if you're trying to log in from a new location, or you're using a different device than you usually use, or if you're using a VPN that makes it look like you're in a different location. Also, if you try to sign in and you have multiple failed attempts, all these things can lead to your account being locked. Another extremely common reason why crypto will be frozen is the fiat chargeback risk. Whenever you buy crypto on an exchange using standard payment methods like credit card, debit card, or ACH transfers, there's always the possibility that you will reverse the transaction with your bank. Banks allow chargebacks, but crypto transactions are irreversible. So this puts a lot of risk on the exchange. To prevent this, exchanges often freeze funds or delay withdrawals, especially if this is your first time using the platform. This is the main reason why you'll see a 72-hour to 7-day hold when you first buy crypto on an exchange. Another trigger is using crypto services that are considered high risk by the exchange's compliance systems. This includes privacy mixers, certain DeFi platforms, gambling websites, and really any platform that may have had illicit activity occur on it. If your funds pass through these services before hitting the exchange, then your wallet risk score is instantly higher. And this is tough because most of the time you have no idea if a platform that you're interacting with is considered risky or not. So you kind of just have to guess and hope for the best. The next trigger, which is also extremely common, is identity verification issues. Exchanges operate under Know Your Customer or KYC laws because they have to know exactly who's using their platform. So if your account information appears incomplete, inconsistent, or is difficult to verify, they may restrict your account until they can resolve it. And this could happen because your name changed, your ID expired, you moved addresses, or you just changed some details in your account. This has actually happened to me before, and all I had to do was provide the requested documentation, and it was that easy, and my funds were released. Finally, let's talk about the fix, because this is what's actually going to protect you and prevent your funds from being frozen. Even if you move your crypto off the exchanges, all of the things we just talked about can still affect you when you move your funds back to the exchange to sell them. That said, the most important thing you can do is limit your exposure to these exchanges. Exchanges are not designed to be long-term storage for your crypto. They're designed to be on and off ramps. Their job is to convert fiat to crypto and crypto back to fiat, while complying with financial regulations. And since exchanges are custodial wallets, meaning they control the keys that secure your crypto, they have the ability to freeze your funds, lock your account, or even close down your account if their compliance system determines you're a risk. So the first step to avoiding your funds being frozen is to take back control of your crypto. You do this by storing your crypto in a self-custodial hardware wallet. With this kind of wallet, you control the keys, so you control your crypto. That means no one can freeze your funds, lock your account, or close your account. And I'll drop a discounted link to my favorite hardware wallet, Tangem, along with my full step-by-step user guide down in the description if you're looking for the most beginner-friendly hardware wallet to take back control of your crypto. But that alone isn't enough, because when it comes time to sell your crypto, you still have to send it back to the exchange when you're ready to cash out. So how do you do that without increasing your chances of getting flagged and your funds frozen? Well, you have to separate the risk. The way you do that is to ensure the wallet you're using to interact with your crypto exchange is never exposed to any potentially risky activity. And the way I do that is using the dual wallet system. The first wallet in this system is your self-custodial hardware wallet. This is like your savings account wallet. This wallet only has one job, and that is to hold your crypto. You don't connect this wallet to random websites, you don't experiment with new protocols with it, and you definitely don't send crypto between your other wallets using this wallet. The only crypto going to and from this wallet is crypto you bought on an exchange or in the wallet's native app, because they also use reputable crypto exchanges for those services. By doing this, you're ensuring the wallet you're using to interact with the exchange keeps a clean record. Then you have your second wallet. Preferably this is also a hardware wallet for maximum security, and this is what I call my burner wallet. This is a wallet that you'll use to interact with DeFi, new protocols, and really any platform that could potentially introduce risk, which in crypto is pretty much everything. But here's a rule. You never send funds from your burner wallet to your main savings wallet or vice versa. Because remember, all crypto transactions are recorded on the blockchain. So if you send crypto between these two wallets, you're associating the risk of your burner wallet with your clean wallet. But you're probably wondering, well, what the heck do I do with my crypto that's on my burner wallet if it's considered suspicious? I can't send it to the same exchange that I'm using for my clean wallet. And you're exactly right. What I would do is set up a completely new account on a completely different crypto exchange. So you have one crypto exchange you use for your clean wallet and another one for your dirty wallet, if you will, and that way you always have a clean and clear off-ramp. And just to be completely transparent, while this strategy does work, it's what I've been doing for the past several years, it's not a regulatory requirement by any means. This is just something that I do to reduce friction and reduce the likelihood that my crypto will be frozen. That said, there's another massive reason why I don't keep any crypto on exchanges or similar apps, and that's because the government can actually seize it. I break down exactly how that works in this next video. I'll meet you over there. God bless and peace out.